Okay. She loves doing that. Hi, this is Beth Taylor at the Sampson Family YMCA Teaching Kitchen, where we're doing another episode of our new show called Who's Cooking at the Sampson Y. Today, I am thrilled beyond belief to have Chris Fennimore from WQED here with us. He is going to make some hearty, delicious beans and greens, healthy, homey, well, I'll let him tell you about it. Y'all know Chris from cooking Saturday mornings and watching the Pledge Drive, and we have one of his cookbooks here, Simple Pleasures. He wrote another book called Stuffed that has everything stuffed from savory to sweet, I believe. And then, you probably all have tons of his books at home, too, from the Pledge Drive. So we'll let Chris start out here and tell us about his dish.
Yeah, we've only been doing the cooking shows for about 28 years now.
Oh, is that all?
No, we're working on it. So, we started out with Z's for zucchini, and so we started at the end of the alphabet. Then we did B is for berry, T is for tomatoes, and we went through all the possible ingredients that you could make a cookbook about and collect recipes. And then we ran out of those. So, and there's not a lot of I recipes.
No.
So there was no I is
No.
for icicles or something,
No.
or ice cream or
Ices.
whatever. This particular recipe that I want to do for you, though, is one that's sort of near and dear to my heart because it's one that comes out of my childhood. It's beans and greens. And if you ever met anybody who's Italian and you say, what did you eat when you were growing up? They say, beans and greens. And it could be any kind of beans. It could be chichi beans, cannellini beans, navy beans, black beans, you name it. This works with it. It's the same thing. And the same thing with greens. My grandmother's favorite was to make it with escarole. Escarole has a very distinctive flavor, but it also cooks really quickly. Okay. But today, what I'm going to be using for my beans and greens are these baby kale. Because nice. I love it. It comes already washed and cut, and it's small, and it's perfect. And for the beans, I'm going to use cannellini beans. These just, you could make them your own yourself, or you could just get one of these cans and open it up. Do not throw away the water. We'll talk about that later. So like so many dishes, Beth, if you could start the heat on
sure
that
can.
Probably every recipe I make other than dessert starts with saute an onion in some
Absolutely.
olive oil, So you're going to put the heat on there. I'm going to put a little olive oil in there. Don't be stingy, as they say, because it's olive oil. It adds a lot of flavor and won't hurt you. All right, I'm just going to chop this onion up. Beth, did you ever notice, do you watch a lot of cooking shows?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure you all do. I was wondering if somebody could make a sort of a catalog of how many onions have been chopped on air. Probably millions.
I would say.
When every time somebody does a recipe and they have to chop an onion, whether it's Jacques Pepin or Julia Child or the Frugal Gourmet,
or Chris.
Rachel Ray, you have to chop an onion. So they all do it in their own way. What I do is to chop the ends off, and then I just, I go down this way, and depending upon how fine I want it, that's how many cuts I make this way. And now I'm going to just cut it this way. When I get to the end, where it wasn't cut, I just cut it that way.
Perfect.
And that's it. I mean, you have to make sure your fingers aren't in the way, but other than that, it's pretty safe. Got to curl your fingers when you're holding one part down. Okay. And that's that. Oh, there, look at that. All right, so this now goes into
There we go.
in a pan, and we start to create some smells in this kitchen. All right, good ones.
We're right above what we call our wellness floor, where all the exercise equipment is, the treadmills and ellipticals, et cetera. So I think the lovely aromas from the teaching kitchen kind of gather in the hallway as people come up, and they're like, I just worked out and now you're making me hungry. So we'll be doing that for our people this morning.
So the other flavor element of this, actually the sort of basic flavor to this is onions, carrots, and celery. In French cooking, they call it a mirepoix. They have different names for it in different languages. It's just a great trio of flavors, and I'm going to cut this up to be consistent in some ways with the size of the onion. You could make it more rustic, and you could make it more fine. It doesn't matter. The flavors are going to be exactly the same. So this is 1 onion, 1 stalk of celery, and you can give that a stir.
Absolutely.
Just make sure that we are getting some consistent.
We just want to sweat them more so than get color on them. Is that?
Yeah, this doesn't have to, you just want to soften these things up. They don't have to get toasty brown or anything.
Okay.
Now,
Beautiful.
I have when I'm cooking, I like to keep a bowl around so that I can put my garbage in there. In the studio, we have garbage cans right underneath us, and it looks like we're throwing everything on the floor. But I like to be able to work right on the table, and I do this at home as well as in the studio. So I just have these little bowls that I use, rather than have it all go on the countertop, and then you have to clean that off later. So this way, at the end, you could just throw this whole bowl out.
Well, we'll actually take that out to our compost bin because we compost out at the garden beds. So yeah,
Okay. All right, so
stir that in to feed our soil.
again, I'm just going to cut this carrot up into medium dice here. This adds great flavor. There's more sweetness in the carrot than people give it credit for. And that's why a lot of Italians will put carrot in their tomato sauce.
Oh, lovely.
It adds a wonderful sweetness to the flavor. Put them in there.
Nice.
And I think in the recipe that we have, I say that the next ingredient is optional. But I'm not sure if it's really optional.
No.
It's garlic. And garlic is a sort of an essential flavor. But I'm going to do this the way my grandmother did. She had a worry that if people saw garlic in her food, they would think she was a low-class cook.
Oh.
I don't know where that came from, but there's all kinds of strata in Italy. The southern Italians are a lower class than the upper than Milan. But she didn't want people to know that she cooked with garlic. So what she would do is this. While the dish is like this, she would just take the outer skin off of a clove of garlic and put it in.
Put the whole clove in.
And then, when they got a little brown, she would take them out. So they would give up their flavor, and then she didn't have to give up her reputation.
Wow. Do you think it was maybe because garlic was something that grew wild, and it was something it was a, economical ingredient to add flavor, or
I don't
or
know.
regional, like you said?
I think it was more that it was one of those peasant ingredients.
Sure.
And you don't want to be associated with peasant flavors. All right, so that is getting soft. As you can see, if you can look right down into that pan, you could add almost anything to that and eat it.
Sure, absolutely. It smells good.
Now, what I cannellini beans. One of the things I like about this recipe is that it's 1 onion, 1 carrot, 1 celery. Well, it is 2 cloves of garlic, but if you had a big clove, you probably would have gotten away with 1 clove of garlic. 1 can of cannellini beans, or beans. And I'm going to put it with the water that's in there.
Okay.
A lot of people drain that, throw it away. I will tell you that there's a lot of bean flavor
Sure.
in that liquid. From our friend Jacques Pépin, whose demonstrations I watch all the time, and his shows, I realized that he never throws away the stuff that's in the can along with the beans. I'm going to add 1 more cup of water, and we want to bring this to a boil.
Okay.
All right? And
All right.
as as usual, at this stage, at an early stage, you want to start building the flavors. And so what I'm going to add are a couple of flakes of pepperoncini. That's red pepper flakes. That is definitely an optional ingredient. However, I have to tell you that it adds somewhat. It doesn't make it like hot. It's not like Szechuan Chinese food or anything.
No.
It is just a flavoring, and it's a wonderful flavoring. All right.
Many times it'll be in your pasta sauce and you don't even know it's there, correct? Like,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Unless somebody overdoes it.
Sure.
But that was like not even 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepperoni.
Sure.
Now, if you like it, if you love it, then just load it up. Go crazy.
Oh, we usually have it on the table too, just for
Yeah,
extra.
just as a
An extra condiment, yes.
yeah.
And we're not even Italian.
But putting it in at this stage changes how it flavors
Okay.
and the nature of the flavor. This is it's a
Very
much more
good.
subtle
Okay.
flavoring once it has cooked in this broth.
All right.
And so there you see, that was 1 cup of water. It was I guess these are 15.5-ounce can of beans with the bean liquid that's in there. I'm also going to, this is fancy.
There's a lid on it. I'm sorry. I should have had that
Yeah.
off for you. There you go.
So this is fancy salt.
There we go.
All right. And I'm not going to put any other black pepper
Okay.
in there because I'm going
Sure.
with the red pepper flavoring. And do you have a tasting spoon, by any chance?
Actually, yes.
Just a little, just
There you go.
there you go. One time we had the students from one of the cooking schools on the show, and one guy brought a bag of spoons, and he was testing everything. Like every 2 minutes, he would test it and then throw the spoon in the sink. And grab another one out of the bag. I thought it was so cute. All right.
Simmering nicely. Now, will the bean, the liquid from the bean also thicken it a little bit, maybe?
It does a little bit, but certainly more than if you had just used water. If
Okay.
you drain the beans and put like 2 cups of water in
Sure.
instead.
Okay.
All right, now this is beginning to come to a boil. You can see it
Beautiful.
starting to roil a little bit. And what I'm going to do is to add my greens.
Okay.
This happens to be, as I said, baby kale, and it's so tender that you don't have to take the stems off or anything. You just put it in.
Kale's something that's pretty easy to grow too. That
Is
you
it?
could. That we
Okay.
just put some Swiss chard and kale seeds directly in our beds last year, and we were cutting it for most of the summer.
Wow. Now, can you pick it early like this at this
You
stage?
certainly could.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure how much it would come back again if you kept picking it that early, but the chard just. I was bringing armfuls of chard down, Amy, right to the.
Well, I like full-grown kale as well. It's just that for this dish,
There you go.
I'm going to
Yeah.
stir this in a little bit, make sure it gets wet. Then I like to chop it up into smaller pieces.
Certainly.
And it takes a little bit longer to cook. This is only going to take a few minutes to cook. And what we're going to do is, to help that along, is simply put the lid on.
Okay.
Now, what's going to happen is that's then going to steam up and cook that. So we have to wait a few minutes for that to cook through.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, we've all changed everything, the way we eat, the way we dine out, et cetera, during COVID. How has it affected you on the home front and what you've done or not done at QED during these months that we've been off?
Well, basically, I haven't done anything. We have a lot of old shows that we've been running, but we have not opened the studio up at all. As a matter of fact, the station is not open to employees. They encourage us all to
To work from home.
Now, in my particular job, I can't work from home other than the fact that I've been doing little cooking things and putting them on our QED Facebook page.
Oh, fabulous.
And the QED Cooks Facebook page, and I've been, trying to just keep track of all of the ideas that keep coming in and collecting recipes as usual, doing all that. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. How has it affected me? I'm bored.
Oh, I hear you.
No, I have other hobbies besides cooking. And so what I've done is, because I just cook for my wife and myself, and there's only so much we can eat. And she keeps telling me, would you please cut back? Just
I hear you.
There's only the two of us, and it's really hard for me to cook for two. So,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
all right, let's see how this is perking here.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, that's perking right along.
Now, is there something in the lineup, a show that, when you can open the studio back up, that you will hit the ground running with for a pledge drive? Or
I haven't thought it through, actually. What's the next thing? People have been encouraging me to do a show about air fryers.
Okay.
We did a show about instant pot cookery, and people loved that because the Instant Pot is really a magic little
it's fabulous.
tool. By the way, you can make this in an Instant Pot too. You just
Sure.
use it, the saute function for the first part of it. Put the greens in and pressure cook it for, I don't know,
Couple
5
minutes. Yeah, it would be good. Look how
All
beautiful.
good. Actually, look how colorful and beautiful that is.
Now, are we going to be putting the Better Than Bouillon in? Or
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to get this up to a boil first, and it's really optional.
Okay.
If you wanted to add this, and especially if you wanted to keep this vegetarian,
Sure.
then you wouldn't add the Better Than Bouillon. Or they probably don't have a vegetable
I
Better Than Bouillon.
think they do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they do.
I love
Yeah.
this stuff. It adds so much flavor. It's so easy to keep in your fridge, and
It's a lot more rich than the old cubes my mom used.
the cubes were just loaded with
So-
monosodium
yeah.
glutamate, and if you had any kind of aversion to MSG, you were out of luck.
Yes.
With that stuff. All right. So now, once that gets in there, we are real close to just plating it up.
Beautiful.
Because with the baby kale, it just doesn't take that long. As I said, it's about 5 minutes, and that's been 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you were using a different kind of green, it might take a little bit longer. What I would do is lower the heat, keep the lid on it until those greens are tender, and that's all. And if you're self-conscious, you could take the garlic out at this point.
Now, I've seen some recipes that'll have some different additions thrown in. Is that a reflection of what was on hand, or a regional difference, or
For
Like-
me, it's a matter of what I have left in my fridge.
yeah, a beautiful dish for that.
One of the things that I love to do with this is to get some leftover sausage.
Oh,
Just
sure.
Chop that up and
Yeah.
add another protein to this.
Yeah.
It doesn't need it.
No,
but
no.
Whatever. I think we can turn this off.
I know our friend, yes, Denise Colangelo down in the Strip, she puts a roasted tomato in hers, which I had never had before.
Well, actually, what she uses is, I believe, sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh, does she? Okay.
Yeah, and once they get into there, they soften up. They become, and they add a wonderful. Matter of fact, I just made some of this at home and did it with that, and then instead of beans, I used potatoes. So I had
Oh, yum.
hard-boiled some
Okay.
potatoes, cut them into cubes, and put it in with the greens and the liquid, and so that's what we're going to have tonight. But if I had sausage, then I would have to.
Oh,
put it in
absolutely.
there too, so sausage you could put in. What if you had leftover meatloaf?
Oh, yeah. Meatballs.
Just or meatballs. Yeah. So, all right. There we
Okay.
are. Let's get a. You got the bowl there, right?
I do. Here, watch, that's going to be warm probably.
Oh, that
Okay,
is,
yeah.
yeah.
Here, I have a.
Okay.
Okay.
Leave that in there.
Beautiful.
Oh my goodness. It's lunch.
Excuse me.
Or breakfast.
Yes.
Right? I'll have a little taste.
Absolutely. Probably better with a
Save a
spoon.
little bit for Amy.
For Amy,
Who's working our.
our witty sidekick, Amy. And Charlotte will probably taste some at the front desk as well.
Okay. So this is the part in our cooking shows that I like the best.
Absolutely.
I have to make sure that it's safe for other people to eat. I want to tell you that
Very good.
that salt is amazing that we put in there. Just I can taste the difference.
The Himalayan pink.
Himalayan salt.
Oh, it's very good.
And the onions are nice and
Carrots.
flavorful.
Carrots are
just
sweet.
tender. Yeah.
And we talk with the kids here about eating the rainbow. Fill your plate to look like the rainbow. So we have some beautiful rainbow colors in here. We have some orange and yellow onion and green. Ah, gorgeous.
People say you eat with your eyes, so the things need to look good. But I just like when there's a variety, a diversity of colors in what it is that you serve. And if not, then you have to decorate your plate a little bit,
No, it's beautiful.
Well, thank you for giving me this chance.
Well, thank you for coming out to visit us. It's a pleasure to have you here. This is, I can credit Chris by the first person who put me on the air. So it all comes full circle, and it was a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you.
Okay.